All right. Good morning to those on the West Coast and good afternoon to our East Coast participants, and welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to show you why your municipality should join the MMP. We have registrants from over 41 different states for this webinar and almost 100 municipalities, so we're really excited to get started. And as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so if you need to access it afterwards, we'll be sending out a link. I guess one other note as far as housekeeping is concerned, we're going to save the questions to the end. However, if you do have questions as we run through the webinar itself, please feel free to use the questions panel on the GoToWebinar on the side panel, and you should be able to submit your questions, and then we'll try to get to all of those. My name is Chris Ronson. I'm a Senior Solutions Manager here at Re-TRAC Connect, and I am pleased to be joined by Liz Bedard. Liz is the Senior Director of Industry Collaboration at the Recycling Partnership and has played a key role in developing the MMP. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome everyone. I'm truly looking forward to spending the next 45 minutes with all of you and discussing this incredibly exciting, important new tool available to municipalities.
Excellent. So we are going to try to keep this presentation, as Liz mentioned, to about 30 minutes, and then we're going to save 10 to 15 minutes for questions at the end. So please stick with us the whole way through. So this is the agenda we're looking at here, and first we're going to describe what the MMP is and what the vision was, and how we got to where we are. Then we're going to talk a bit about how to join the MMP if you haven't done so already, completing the surveys themselves within the MMP, the importance of data verification, and then take a look at generating the analytical reports themselves. Next, we'll spend some time talking about what's next for the MMP over the coming year or so, and then we're going to jump into the questions. So off we go here. So the Municipal Measurement Program, also known as the MMP, is a free program assessment and planning tool brought to you by the Recycling Partnership and Re-TRAC Connect. The program has been designed specifically for municipalities to deliver insights and actionable recommendations to municipal waste management agencies such as yourselves. For those of you that aren't aware, Re-TRAC Connect is a web-based software platform offering a suite of services to help organizations efficiently collect, manage, and analyze all types of recycling and waste data from all types of reporting entities. Re-TRAC has thousands of municipalities already using the system to manage and report program information, so that's kind of why we're here where we are. The Recycling Partnership is a national nonprofit organization and a force for improving recycling across the United States. The Recycling Partnership provides grants, technical assistance, and tools to invest in communities, support measurable sustainability, and improve recycling systems across the nation. So, Re-TRAC and the Recycling Partnership both recognize that municipalities needed better measurement and decision-making tools, and due to the above, each of the organizations is uniquely positioned to bring the MMP to life. So it really did just make great sense for us to work together, and we're really excited to promote, manage, and enhance the MMP over time. So we are, as Liz mentioned, we're really excited to share this really, really important tool with you today. And so what is it? The MMP is a free program assessment and planning tool, and it's delivered via the Re-TRAC Connect platform. Municipalities simply apply and join the MMP. It's completely free for municipalities to join. Once they've joined, they complete program assessment surveys. And so there's an S next to survey because depending on the types of programs that you as a municipality provides, you may have to fill out one or may fill out a combination of some of those surveys. So we're going to show you how that works today. And once you've completed those, you'll be able to access a suite of powerful reports to measure program performance, and those will be unlocked for your unlimited use throughout the year. So why did Re-TRAC and the Recycling Partnership create the MMP? Well, first of all, the industry really needed standardization and a system for measuring municipal program performance. So one of the goals of creating the MMP is to create the first large-scale database of municipal materials management program information in North America. Another important goal was to provide municipalities with the decision-making tools that they need to consistently measure program performance and discover opportunities to improve their programs.
And I'd like to speak to this one, transforming recycling systems. So knowledge is empowering. And MMP empowers users to both have a 40,000-foot view of their program as well as a detailed view of their program. You know, if we look at this graphic, MMP collects, or you collect the data and enter it into MMP. And with your data in MMP, you actually get resulting reports that measure your performance as a recycling program. It also provides customized recommendations so you can discover opportunities on how to improve your program, that next step. And we provide tools. MMP actually provides tools based on the data that you've entered, based on the measurement of your program, on how to improve your program. So we really feel strongly that MMP has the opportunity to transform recycling throughout the United States and Canada.
Thanks, Liz. So you might be wondering, how do you join? And so in order for the vision of the MMP to be realized, we knew that joining the MMP had to be easy and simple, but also systematic. So one of the best parts that we already mentioned, it's completely free for any municipality to join that's in the United States and Canada. And we're going to provide you with links after this webinar, and it's as simple as clicking that apply button. And so one of the things that has come up, and it's a really good question, is why are municipalities completing this application form? While simple, it is designed to ensure that participants have the authority to represent the municipality, such as the recycling coordinator that's trying to apply. It also ensures that each municipality, that only one representative is accepted into the program, thereby avoiding the duplication or duplicate data entries. We're really trying to help protect the integrity of the MMP database, and so this is typically taking about 1 to 2 business days to approve the actual application. And it really is as simple as providing the information that you have for your contact, as well as just some sort of link showing that you represent that agency. Once approved, you'll receive this confirmation email, and you'll be able to set the password for your account. And we have a support team that's there and ready to help if you run into any problems. And so right now, actually, it's been taking 1 to 2 hours to get the proper approval process in place. But after this webinar, when all of you rush in and join to apply the MMP, we're dedicating to getting that done as quickly as possible, but definitely within the 2 days. Okay. So the MMP's program assessment surveys have been designed to streamline your reporting experience, very much like many of the other Re-TRAC surveys if you've used the system before. Depending on how you respond to certain questions, additional questions, sections, and even surveys may become available to you. And the questions that don't apply to your municipality will be hidden. And one of the key reasons for this is to really help you be able to fill out the information you require easily and not be kind of overwhelmed with questions that really completely are not relevant to you. So as I was mentioned, the survey that you fill out first, you're going to fill out this about your municipality survey. And so every municipality will fill out this particular survey. Depending on how you answer the questions within the survey, you will gain access to subsequent surveys, up to 2. So 1 for Curbside program assessment and 1 for drop-off program assessment. The the overall process based on preliminary data that we've been receiving since we've launched the program has been that once the data has been assembled, it's taking municipalities on average about 30 minutes to complete the surveys for the program, which is really exciting because that was one of the key goals, was to make sure that this was not onerous and that the benefits definitely achieved what we were asking the municipalities to fill in. Within the About Your Municipality question or survey, you're going to notice two key questions. And if you answer yes to these questions, you're going to unlock those new surveys to collect information about how the programs are provided in your community. So, does your municipality provide curbside collection services to residents? And does your municipality operate drop-off locations where residents can dispose of materials? If you identify that your municipality provides curbside collection services to residents, you'll unlock the Residential Curbside Assessment Survey. It's separated into 6 sections designed to summarize waste and recycling programs in your municipality. At a high level, the first page gathers information of curbside collection summary information. Page 2 is collecting information about MSW collection, or municipal solid waste, excuse me. Page 3 collects information around single-family curbside collection, whereas page 4 is looking for information about multifamily collection program if your municipality has it, as well as page 5 for residential organics collection programs. So page 4 and 5, we've seen kind of a mix so far. Some of municipalities have comprehensive multifamily recycling programs, and so they have a lot to share in that section. And some don't. And so if you don't have this particular program, you're able to easily say, no, we don't have that program right now. And perhaps if you change that and you introduce a program in the future, the next year's forms would allow you to make those adjustments. Finally, page 6 just captures information about the person completing the survey. There is some key information that's collected on the Curbside Program Assessment Survey that you'll need to answer to make the best use of the MMP. So you're going to be asked to define how your municipality classifies single-family units, and you will need to provide the total number of single-family units in your municipality. This data is used to calculate the pounds per household metric used in program performance and benchmarking reports. The survey is also going to collect annual tonnage for each program, including residential curbside MSW, single-family curbside recycling, multifamily recycling, and for that organics program if you have one. This data is really important towards calculating most of the key metrics found in the program performance and benchmarking reports. So if you do have this information, there's a number of different ways that you can share it. And you'll see that in greater detail once you jump into the program itself. So that pretty much covers up the Curbside Program Assessment Survey. If you identify in the About Your Municipality survey that your municipality provides drop-off collection services to residents, you're going to unlock the Residential Drop-Off Assessment Survey. It's only 1 page and also has a few important questions to take note of. So these particular questions are also linked to analytical reports, the total number of drop-off sites that are operated by the municipality. And it's important to note that this number does not include private drop-off locations operated by supermarkets or thrift stores. You'll also be asked to provide your municipality's annual tonnage for MSW, residential recyclables, and organics collected via your drop-off program. And providing accurate data to these questions will ensure that you gain the greatest benefit from the annual drop-off diversion rate and annual tonnage by program reports that we're going to share with you in a second. So that pretty much covers the data collection surveys as a whole. I'm just going to pass this off to Liz, who's going to talk about the importance of data verification.
Thanks, Chris. So verifying the data is critical to MMP, and actually it's critical to all of you who will be using MMP. For this to be our, and when I say our, I mean the industries, for this to be the recycling industry's centralized national standard measurement tool, it's critical that time and energy is invested to verify the data. And the Recycling Partnership is an organization that roots itself in good data. We have a lot of experience with managing data, so this is one aspect of MMP that we have taken on. And you can see here, we'll review all the submitted survey responses and check on the numerical data. You know, if we see something that's a little unusual, that doesn't quite make sense, we'll contact the municipality and chat with them further to get clarification. And once we feel that the data entered is sound, we'll mark it as verified. Now, another aspect of verifying the data that we'll engage in is coordinating with state and regional agencies. So state and regional agencies will have the opportunity to use MMP for their official reporting system, and we'll work with them on coordinating verifying the data as well. So what you can see on the next slide, once the survey responses have been reviewed by our staff, we'll mark them as verified, and that really, you can see on the left, we have the draft, which you will activate. When you've completed your survey, you will indicate that it's completed, and then it will go to us for verified. And once it's verified, then it's entered as final.
Thanks, Liz. And one of the key things that's going to happen once you mark it as complete is you're going to be immediately able to access the 7 analytical reports designed to analyze your program performance. And so we're going to take a few minutes here to introduce you to the program performance benchmarking and recommendations reports that are available to you within the system. So I asked for this fancy generate button to kind of mirror the experience within the system. Each report will be as simple as clicking that generate button, especially for this first year, just because there is going to be that 1 year's worth of data. And Re-TRAC Connect will do the rest. So the tonnage by program report will measure the total tons captured by the municipality's residential, curbside, and drop-off collection programs, all in that one chart. And so you're going to have access to that in the analytics area. You'll also gain access to the annual curbside diversion rate report. And so this is going to display your municipality's diversion rate alongside the total tons diverted and total tons disposed via your curbside programs. The report calculates diversion as curbside recycling plus the multifamily recycling if you have it, organics collection if you have it, divided by all the curbside tonnage, including your MSW. And so if you don't have these particular programs, don't worry, you can still generate this report and it's just going to say no data. The annual drop-off diversion rate report works just the same as the curbside diversion rate, except it's calculating the diversion as a total tons recycling plus the total tons of organics divided by all the drop-off tonnage, including the solid waste. So this is just separating out those two particular programs. With the pounds per household report, diversion and disposal weights are normalized. So you're measuring the average pounds of material recycled, composted, and disposed by each household in your municipality. Next report is the Economic Benefits of Recycling report, which is based on the US EPA's Recycling Economic Information Report, or the REI report for short. The EPA created this report to increase the understanding of the economic implications of material reuse and recycling. So essentially, by recovering valuable materials, recycling creates jobs, builds infrastructure, and contributes to the US economy. So you're able to generate this report in the MMP, and you'll see how your municipality's recycling efforts translate into job creation, estimated wages, and tax revenues. If you're looking to compare your municipality's recycling performance to the rest of the country, one of our first benchmarking reports that we have available is going to compare the average pounds of recycling generated by each single family household in your municipality to the national average, which is 357 pounds per household. And so that's going to be available right there. And the recommendations report, which I'm going to have Liz speak to.
So to me, this is one of the more exciting parts of MMP, and that's recommendations. So customized recommendations will be provided to the users based on the specific data that they provided. So for example, if a municipality indicates that they're using bags or bins to collect their recyclables at the curb, they would receive a recommendations report that indicates that throughout the United States, those communities that are using carts have been seen to increase their diversion by upwards to 30%. So some specifics around the recommendation, but also, as importantly, some tools. So perhaps best management practices for how to implement carts, notification that there are grant funds available for carts. And this would be true for any of a number of recommendations that result from the specific information that the municipality enters. Perhaps they're not doing any education and outreach on social media, so they would receive tools and resources for free on how to do social media. So an important part of this whole MMP system is that it customizes the reports for the individual users, and I think that's very exciting.
Agreed. And I think this next part's pretty exciting as well, Liz. We've been working on this for quite some time, and many of you that are on the call today have been with us since the MMP was just an idea. We've asked the industry about the greatest data gaps. We've held roundtable discussions around terminology and definitions. We've hosted webinars about the burning questions close to home for municipal agencies surrounding measurements. And you know, once we had all the information, we designed this program and held multiple user group tests, sat and watched recycling coordinators fill out the forms, generate the reports, and all of you had really, really good feedback. And so we took that back to our teams and tweaked the program until it was ready for the prime time. And the creation of the MMP has been a really rewarding experience, but this is just getting started. And so we put this rocket ship in here. I almost wanted to make it diagonal, but realized that rocket ships, if they're going diagonal, is probably not a good thing. So we kept it straight, but we do have a lot going on and coming down the pipe. So one of the things that we are working on is the reports. So we just reviewed the 7 reports currently included in the MMP, but this suite of reports is only going to grow. As more and more data is added to the program, Re-TRAC and the Recycling Partnership will be able to design even more program performance and benchmark reports that you'll be able to access as municipalities. We intend to introduce trend reports to see how your performance changes over time, and that's why it's really important for the municipalities to report each year and gain the greatest benefit from the program. In some locations, curbside and drop-off collection programs are provided to municipalities by a regional government agency like a county, consolidated government, or council of governments. We recognize this, and there's also many nuances to consider when it comes to measuring municipal programs, especially when provided by a regional government. And that's why I wanted to highlight that the MMP team is working towards accommodating county and regional government participation for the 2020 reporting year. So at the end of this year, we will be ready to rock and roll with that. If your municipality's collection services are provided by a regional government, even if only in part, and you'd like to help us with that and developing the solution, please email mmp@retrac.com or apply as for the MMP as a county agency, and we're going to add you to our list of folks to contact to work through some of the questions that we have and some of those nuances that are important to get right. In the coming months, the MMP will introduce some new report designs that are sure to impress. So keep your eyes peeled for the new report styles coming to the economic benefits of recycling report and the program recommendations reports that Liz was mentioning earlier. And feedback. As you've already heard, and you likely recognize if you've worked with either of our two organizations, we strongly value your feedback. So it really is going to help us consider all the intricacies of the municipal services. In 2018, we beta tested the MMP with a special group of municipalities and received feedback on the layout of the survey and the questions asked. And thanks to your useful input, we found better ways to organize the questions that streamlined that data entry, made it a little easier for you to fill out. And we also introduced hover over hints to some of the terms that could use further definition. So hopefully those of you that go in might not even notice that, just because it will help streamline the experience. But if you do notice some things that you'd like us to improve, or things that you love about the MMP so we can do more of that, please send us that feedback, types of features or reports that you'd like to see added to the program. We really are looking forward to hearing how you feel the experience has gone, and as we grow this program. So if you're a municipality, here's a recap of the reasons why immediately after this webinar you should join the MMP if you haven't already. The MMP is completely free, and so this is really important to make sure that everybody's aware. And based on preliminary data, completing the program assessment surveys are taking about an average of 30 minutes to complete once the municipality has assembled their information. So if you have this on hand, it's really going to speed that up. So some of those annual tonnage numbers and the types of programs that your municipality provides is really going to help speed up the data entry process. And get you to those powerful analytics for program performance, benchmarking, and the recommendations reports that are going to point you towards tools and resources that will help you consistently measure your performance and improve your programs over time. And as already mentioned, the MMP, as it grows, will be introducing new reports to the program itself. The MMP was designed with industry assistance to standardize the terminology and harmonize methodologies in support of this consistent measurement across the US and Canada. There was a measurement summit held in February of last year that brought together industry and government agencies to really talk about measurement and how important it is. And we really feel that the MMP is going to help kind of standardize that terminology. And whether you're from Portland, Oregon, or Des Moines, Iowa, municipalities will know that the key performance metrics are comparable across the nation. And that's really one of the goals and the use of the MMP. The program recommendations report is going to provide you as municipalities with opportunities to make changes to existing municipal programs or add new ones to your toolkit. Over time, Re-TRAC Connect and the Recycling Partnership are going to introduce new tools and resources to support municipalities in their efforts. And we're really helping you and hoping to help you reduce waste and recycle more. And then finally, as a municipality, your participation is going to support the creation of this large-scale national database of municipal program information. This is something that the industry has needed for a really, really long time. And by joining the MMP today, you're going to gain access to those best practice reports and program recommendations that is going to help your team perform better. But just as importantly, you're also going to be supporting a cause that helps the waste and recycling industry as a whole. So we really thank you for your interest and are excited to have you join us here. So before we jump into your questions, we tried to answer some of the common questions we've been asked along the way, and so kind of put these in a frequently asked questions style, which is kind of weird because I'm going to be asking myself questions, which I guess I'm used to, but just not out loud. So the first question, and it's a very important one, is you might be asking, how will the data I submit be used? So we're planning on using the data in the following ways. we're creating a centralized pool of data, which you would have gathered at this point, that will make it possible for municipalities to benchmark against other municipalities. And so that centralized database of municipal program information is going to help the industry achieve consistent measurement of municipal waste and recycling program performance. We are going to be selling access to subsets of the data, which is going to help provide the revenue needed to cover the cost of providing the MMP over time. So that's the business model behind it. For example, we're actively promoting subscription packages to county and state government agencies that are interested in accessing information about municipal programs in their jurisdiction. Reports will also be made available to purchase by other industry stakeholders. Specific to the county and state government agencies plan, one of the goals here is to help standardize the way data is collected from municipalities and help reduce redundant data collection and really help speed up that process and have additional ways of getting that information into the system. And finally here, efficient access to detailed information about the challenges that municipalities face will help industry stakeholders like the Recycling Partnership develop new tools and resources to help boost waste and recycling program performance. An important note that we recognize the importance of restricting access to some of the data that municipalities will be sharing. And so municipal specific tonnage and personal data will only be available to Merge Knowledge, which is the developers of Re-TRAC Connect, the Recycling Partnership, and the state and county government agencies that sign up to use the MMP to manage the data in their geographic region. So if your state adopts the MMP to collect municipal program information on an annual basis, they'll have the ability to take a look at the information that you've submitted and coordinate with that, and that really will assist overall with the data verification process and really help move us towards that standardized program that we're really excited about. One of the questions that has come up, and for those of you that aren't municipalities on the call, this might be a little more relevant. So is there a connection between the MMP and the state measurement program, the SMP, or made possible by the US EPA? It's built by the states and for the states is the state measurement program, but the US EPA has no direct role in the design, development, or management of the municipal measurement program, even though they're both delivered via the software. So there's no direct connection between the two. I will say that we are planning on making an MMP report available in the fall of this year that will help states aggregate a subset of the data that is typically collected by the state measurement program. So more to come on that, but just to kind of answer any questions in regards to the state measurement program. If you are a state, county, or regional government agency, can you access the MMP data in your jurisdiction? And so, as previously mentioned, we are currently developing a solution to provide state and county and regional government agencies with access to the MMP data within their respective jurisdictions. So if you're interested, we'll be providing some follow-up information in the email that gets sent out along with the recording of this webinar and some information on how to let us know if you are interested in that. Or you can email mmp@re-trac.com. I'd like a tutorial about how to fill out the surveys. Do you have any additional training material? Assuming that all of you are going to be applying to join today, I just wanted to mention that we have developed a helpful training video to help guide you through the MMP experience if you are looking for one on more of a detailed overview. Again, it's pretty self-explanatory and user-friendly, but for those of you that like having something to reference, we have already pre-recorded this training webinar that goes into more of the details of each of the forms themselves. So that pretty much covers some of the questions that we had been asked over time, over the last few months as we've geared up towards the launch of the MMP. But if you have any questions, this is the time to ask them. So we've reserved about 10-15 minutes for further your questions. We'd be happy to answer them now. So Josh, I think, is going to help us out with moderating the questions, and anyone who we don't get to your question, we'll follow up with you directly afterwards.
All right, so our first question comes from Carolina Gomez, who asks, she says, I have a login to Re-TRAC because our agency participates in the MRC, the illegal mattress dumping program. Do I need to create a new login, or can I just search for the MMP using my current login?
That's a great question. So for existing Re-TRAC Connect users, we're asking you folks to still just apply like anybody else using the apply button on the page that Josh, hopefully we can get some link out in the chat to the general chat for those looking to register. So we'll provide that link to fill out the application form. You will be able to utilize your existing Re-TRAC Connect account, but we're just going to add the MMP to your program. So when you log in after you've been approved, you'll see both of the programs. In your case, particularly, you'll see the MRC program and then the MMP program next to it, and you'll be able to report separately. They are going to be completely separate, but you'll be able to use that single window reporting process that we really built into this software as a whole. And that was one of the reasons that this is really exciting for us, is that it should help kind of reduce the number of user accounts that you folks have to have, especially for those that are already reporting in Re-TRAC Connect.
Okay, great. I've got another question here. Can we include previous years of data to develop trending diversion data?
That is a great question. So the answer is yes, with an asterisk. So the 2018 year is open right now. So in 2019, you'll have this. This is the first year of data. We haven't opened it up historically. There may be, depending on the number of folks that are looking for that, there may be an opportunity to do that in the future to kind of open up prior years. But due to the way we ran the beta, we were looking at some of the questions and the form was a little differently. So we decided to start fresh this year and just capture this 1 year's worth of data. But definitely, I think that is going to be something that comes up pretty often as far as folks wanting to do their trend reports. And certainly we are accommodating for that going forward. But as of right now, I believe you will just have access to enter in 2018's data.
All right, our next question asks, how does this measurement system account for material that is collected via curbside programs but doesn't actually get recycled? So for example, contamination.
Sorry, I was on mute there. I knew that was going to happen at least once on this call. So it's a great question. It is what is being collected. We are capturing that information. We do ask some questions about contamination rates, but to simplify it, and because many municipalities just don't have access to their contamination rates at this time, getting kind of that baseline of what is collected is a good first start for the MMP, and looking at evolving that over time to better integrate the contamination rates that municipalities are reporting into the system. One of the recommendations in the MMP as a whole is if you aren't tracking your contamination rate, or if you're looking for tools and resources, the recommendations report is actually going to point you in some directions, developed tools and resources developed by the Recycling Partnership to help you around the MMP. And Liz, do you have anything to add to that particular question?
Absolutely. You know, contamination is such a huge issue right now, given the recycling marketplace. So I'm so glad that this question was asked. But unfortunately, MMP has to walk before it runs. And so, as Chris says, this type of assessing how contamination really does lower the amount of actual recycling that happens is something that MMP will address in the future, for the very reasons that Chris has outlined. Contamination varies from municipality to municipality, so in no way did we want MMP to assume a standard countrywide contamination rate. And also, as Chris outlined, so many municipalities just don't know what their contamination rate is. So this is something we'll have to build into the future, but a really important component.
Great, thank you, Liz. And I'll take our next question here. I'm going to try to combine a few here. So there's a question, is there a checklist of what data you need to have on hand to fill out the MMP so that they can compile it ahead of actually reporting? And I'm going to pair that question with, can we provide a link to the actual training video? I see that question coming up a couple times. And so I think, Chris, your response will probably cover all of those.
Absolutely. Teed that one up nicely for me, Josh. Thanks. So after the webinar is complete, we're going to kind of finish the recording and get that all ready to share with you folks, as well as in the follow-up email that you'll receive by the end of this week, we'll send out the training video link, and then we'll also be sending out a document we've created to help outline the common things that you'll need to collect for the MMP. We also actually do have links to the forms themselves if you'd like to take a peek at that, and we can share that with you as well. So without needing to actually go in and create the account, you can take a look at that. But the document that we've prepared that outlines the key kind of question categories that you can look at as a checklist to kind of prepare before you get into the program, and probably by the time you're approved, you'll have everything that you need to get set. So.
Great, thanks. I think we have time for maybe another question or two. I have a question here. Is the reporting only annual? We are interested in seeing trends as they are happening on a monthly basis.
Well, I'm going to have to say that I share your enthusiasm. That's why I work here at Re-TRAC Connect, to look at data as fine-grained, detailed as possible. So I think this falls under more of the walk before you run that Liz had referenced earlier. We are looking at capturing annual data to start, just because that would be a good starting place. But I do think that eventually we will get to the point where we can start capturing some of that more month-to-month data. One of the challenges that we faced with designing the forms and the data collection fields themselves is really that some folks are capturing data on fiscal years or calendar years, and so accommodating for that, there is some questions that allow you to clarify what 12-month period that you are reporting the data on behalf of. But that's just one of the examples of where we needed to find a way that that would work well, and so you could be comparing apples to apples. And so the monthly data, I think, is important and will help you better understand seasonal changes and fluctuations, and also get better detailed information on kind of trends that you're seeing on a monthly basis. And so that's something that we're entirely interested in looking at including in the future, but as of right now, it is just annual data.
Okay, and last question here. I think I already report weights to the state. How is your data collection different?
That is a very good question, and I think, and each state is going to be different, and some states collect this data and some states do not collect this data. Definitely, it varies across the country, and so I can't speak specifically to your state, and maybe I can follow up with you after this call, but one of the things that we really tried to do is create this standardized form for all municipalities across the country, Canada and the US, and really help drive that standardization. And so we've already had 2 states sign up to adopt the MMP for their data collection process. And so instead of creating their own data collection program, they've adopted the MMP to use that and be able to review the data as it comes in and work with the TRP to help verify that data. And so our ultimate goal is certainly to coordinate with all the states and provinces to really help reduce any duplicate data entry, but also kind of show the value of being able to generate some of these reports yourselves and be able to access your data historically and do those trend reports, benchmarking reports, and access the recommendations that are available within the program. This, if you are reporting to a state right now that has mandatory state reporting requirements, this is not, unless you've been told by the state themselves, this is not replacing that reporting mechanism, so please continue to do that. But this is kind of a national initiative that we're looking to really help streamline that, and I think they'll complement each other over time if they don't fully replace them. Liz, do you have anything else to add?
I would just echo what you've said, Chris, and that is the resulting reports and the resulting access to customized recommendations and resources that oftentimes when a state has mandatory reporting, it's for you to get your data into them, but sometimes it doesn't go back and forth. You don't get recommendations on how to improve your program. And so MMP is absolutely a tool that goes back and forth, that it's a partnership between the user and the tool to help improve recycling across the country.
That's great and totally true. Well, I guess we're at the end of our time here. I do want to thank you all for joining us today. There's going to be a short exit survey that we'd really appreciate you filling out to give us feedback on this webinar. But most importantly, and I've been told that there's already several applications flowing in during this webinar. So those of you that are able to multitask, thank you, or have decided to join. I don't know if it's a one-to-one relationship, but regardless, if you're a municipality and you haven't already applied to join the MMP, we'd really looking forward to having you join us, join the MMP. And so, Josh, if you could just send out that link. I think it's already there. It should be chatted in. It's recyclesearch.com/profile/MMP/registration. You can just click that link and you go straight directly to it. There's also a link off the Re-TRAC.com website as well. And we'll also send a link is following up via this webinar that will have all the information you need. So that's it for today. Thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for making measurement important.